how has setback impacted you, and how did it shape you?
So I really think a lot of times when you have setbacks, it's God's way of saying, okay, I want you to take some time, and I want you to reevaluate what is important to you, and how are you going to play the game the next time you get in.
Hi, I'm Erik Weir, and thank you for joining me on another episode of Stuttering Your Way to Success, because there is no success without setback. Today, I'm having Levon Kirkland, my friend, who's also was my first podcast guest ever, back again. And but Levon, you need no introduction, but you played two Pro Bowls.
Yes.
You played the Super Bowl.
Yes.
You had 11 seasons in professional career.
Mm-hmm.
And your number now is where? At Clemson Stadium?
Yeah, the Ring of Honor at Clemson University, which honors it's the highest that a student athlete could go or to be honored, and I'm in the Ring of Honor. So if you go to the I think it's the southwest side of the stadium, you'll see it if you go in the stadium.
Right.
So it's pretty cool.
That is so. Now I know we talked last time about how important that is to you to go to college there, but share with those who maybe didn't see your first podcast.
Right.
Well, why is that important to you and your family?
Okay. Yeah. Well, the last name Kirkland. I told this story about my father talking to me one day. He was just like, I never thought a son of mine would go to Clemson University. And I was like, oh, well, what's your reason for saying that? And he would say, well, son, back in my day, man, Clemson might as well have been a city in the sky. We couldn't go through the front door. And so when reporters asked me about being in the Ring of Honor and how do you feel, your name being honored, I say, well, honestly, to me, it's honoring my father's last name, the Kirkland name, and thank God for change. And that now a son of his and now his grandkids can walk into Clemson University and see his name on the stadium.
Oh, that's fantastic. That is so powerful. And as we talk about setback, how has setback impacted you, and how did it shape you?
Oh, well, wow. In so many ways. I felt like that a lot of times, setback is like if you ever played basketball and the coach calls you and say, you're not playing really well.
Right.
I want you to sit on the bench, and I want you to observe the game to see it from another perspective. So I really think a lot of times when you have setbacks, it's God's way of saying, okay, I want you to take some time, and I want you to reevaluate what is important to you, and how are you going to play the game the next time you get in.
Right.
So I look at it as a timeout that you need to sit the bench and that you need to look at the game from a different perspective. Now, the next time you go in, how are you going to play the game? And I think you have a better appreciation for it once you have that setback.
Okay. There's no doubt about that. Now, you've been honored again in so many different ways, but one is a South Carolina Football Hall of Fame.
Yes.
And now you're active there, right?
Yes. I'm a part of the organization, and we really we want to honor the greats. We've been around for about almost 10 years. David Wyatt really set it up. And we basically say, hey, South Carolina, man, we got some good things. And one of our great things is our football tradition. So we want to honor that tradition. And then also, we want to give praise to some of the student athletes that are doing very well out there.
I see.
And honor them. And it's a great organization. I think what we're trying to do is change the face of South Carolina for being 43rd in the nation as far as college and career readiness to being, in the top 10 in 2030.
How old is the Hall of Fame?
It's about, I think we're going to be 11 years old pretty soon. Yeah.
Now, I was reading somewhere, isn't there's a way to vote on who should be enshrined?
Yes,
And this is like the 11th time you're doing it, right?
Yes. This is our 11th time doing our Hall of Fame. And what you can do is go on South Carolina Football Hall of Fame, HOF, and you can get online on social media and vote. If you see a player from your high school, from your college, or someone you know, and you think they deserve to be on there, I encourage you to go vote for them.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, there's something called the Bridge Builder program.
Yes.
I mean, tell me about that, and how do you give back with that?
Well, that's more so like what we do is we pick out guys that we feel are worthy of being nominated as far as what their GPA is, what they do in the community, and if they're a good football player or not.
Okay.
And we pick those three things, and we give our audience, again, another opportunity to go out there and nominate those guys. We normally pick between 10 guys. They come to our ceremony, and we do it kind of Heisman style where nobody knows who's going to be the winner, and we announce the winner during the ceremony. And it's been a cool thing the last couple of years. We've only done it for maybe this is our fourth time that we've done it. And it's been amazing. We've kept some great networking as far as the players are concerned. And we try to encourage those guys to be the very best they can be.
Wow. How did playing, when you played high school football and then college football and pro football, how does that change your life from discipline and courage and fear? I mean, you just kind of walk me through some of the skills you learned along the way.
I think when you're playing high school football, it's your first chance of going out there to try to prove yourself. And I think what it does is it gives you great life skills. Life skills like understanding team goals, dealing with diversity. I also think it teaches you individual goals, how to get knocked down, because it's a hard game. It's a physical game. It's a collision game. So you're going to get knocked down a couple of times. It's not going to be in your favor. So how do you actually pick yourself back up and do it again? Because I'm going to tell you, tackling somebody or hitting somebody is not really a natural thing. It's not like everybody is born with that gift.
Right.
It's something that you have to really get used to and acquire. It's like a good beer.
Right.
You may not like it at first, but after you taste it for a while, it becomes a great taste for you. So football's the same way. And then when you go to college, the level is just a little higher.
Yeah.
Now you got to understand how to really manage your time.
Right.
Because now you don't really have your parents saying, hey, knocking on your door saying, hey, wake up, it's school. And you got to do it all on your own. And then also you're seeing another light. You're getting away from your home. You're seeing how other people live, the quality of life. You're being around another environment. So I feel that, time management is a part of it. And then also you got the goal setting as well. You got more of the networking involved now because it's not just people from your small town, but it's also people from, all across the country, all across the world. Can you really build your brand during that time? So that's what that's all about. And then when you get in the NFL, man, it's another level. It's like grow up. Time to grow up. Time to grow up. So therefore, nobody's really telling you what to do. Now you got to deal with men that are married, got kids.
Right.
In college, you get to hang out with the guys that you play with.
Right.
In the NFL, not as much.
Oh, yeah.
It's a working environment.
I got you.
And so now you're getting, although you're getting paid now in college, you're significantly getting paid more. So how do you balance all that? How do you invest all that? Now it's kind of like we're really going to throw you out there to the wolves.
Right.
And see how you adapt.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a lot of change fast, huh?
That is a change. And I really believe a lot of times, I know when I came through from college to pro, I wasn't quite ready. I thought football wise I was ready, but as far as the world is concerned, I wasn't quite ready for that. So unfortunately, you're kind of surviving and you're kind of learning along the way. And really, that's kind of one of the things that, it's an experience, man. And you're like, wow, I'm 23 years old, man. And Now I just got the biggest check I ever got in my life.
Right.
What do I do with all this money?
Right.
So that was one of the things that, you have to get used to. And, I had great parents or whatever. But, nobody in my family ever saw this kind of money. We didn't know a lot about investment. So you kind of had to learn along the way.
Yeah. That's tough, yeah.
That's real tough.
So when you're in high school, say we're sitting around today and you're with the College Football Hall of Fame and you're talking to high school kids, everybody wants to play college ball.
Right, yeah.
And then
everybody wants to play NFL.
Yeah, yes. I was going to get to there. NFL.
Right.
And statistically, it's a super duper long shot, right? So,
yes.
so what do you tell the kid, even if he's talented in high school, and he's like, hey, I'm just going to focus on sports, I'm going to do this or that. I mean, what advice do you give him?
Well, I always try to encourage. I always, we always say educate, empower, and encourage at the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame. I always try to do that. And I would never tell anybody not to go for their dreams. And especially if it's a big dream. So I'm not that guy to say, well, it's only 1% of you. Most of you guys won't be going and giving that hard line.
Right.
I don't really believe in that. Right. I believe like, hey, man, if that's what you want to do, man, go for it.
Right.
But also give yourself room and give yourself space and grow in your mindset that you want to be versatile. That you can give yourself multiple opportunities, that you can take your big goal and as, it's a shelf life. You got to let them know, hey, you're not going to be playing forever.
Right.
But can you take that platform and go into your next venture?
Right.
And you do that by getting your education. You do that by networking. You do that by being a leader in the community. So I always try to encourage them to go for their dreams. What are we, dream killers?
Right, you can't be. No.
Why are guys out there talking about, these coaches don't really want you. And,
right.
It's hard. And yeah, we get that.
Right.
We get that. But I don't think that's our place.
Right.
I think our place is to be a servant leader and to guide people to where they want to go.
Right.
Not so much, the odds are against you. I just believe in encouraging people.
No, I love it. I love it. One of the things I know you're aware of, and obviously it's big news today, but was what's going on with Deion Sanders, and he's changing college football a bit. So with what he's doing there, and you played against Deion as well, right?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. So I want to hear your perspective from Deion as a player and as a coach. What do you think about him as a player and him as a coach?
I really liked Deion Sanders. I liked him even as I went against him in the NFL and in college. And in college, he ran back that famous punt return against us. I think I'm the first one to miss him. So in a lot of ways, Deion Sanders owes me a dinner or lunch for.
That's right.
Well, he really did. I mean, he was amazing. Yeah. I've talked to him maybe once or twice through Corey Fuller that I coached with at FAMU. And I like Deion a whole lot. Talking to him man to man, I really liked him. I know sometimes he may rub people the wrong way because he's very confident. And I really like that in a guy. I'm like, man, I want some of that confidence. Right. But I think he's a coach that's maybe not conventional, didn't do it the way that a lot of coaches do it. But I think he has an impact on kids that a lot of people don't. And a lot of times it's the messenger. If the guy can send a message in the right way, when it goes down to presidents or whoever, man, it's the messenger. If he can send it to you, if he can bring it to you, you're like, yeah, I can do it. He I think what he does is he brings a belief to his kids. And what I see is he shows them love. And I think anytime you're trying to build a relationship, it's about trust.
Right, sure.
And respect. Sure. And I think he does that. I mean, maybe some people don't like it, but I like it. And it's a lot of fun. I've been watching their games before that.
I didn't watch them either.
I never watched them that much. I mean, I love my guy, Chad Brown, and Deion figures that I play with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I think that Deion brings a certain level of confidence and love and respect for his players that they just want to run through a wall for him.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's really good to see.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So what motivates you today?
Oh, well, I think I'm motivated by service. I really feel that the experience that I went through as a high school athlete all the way through the NFL, and even after that transition from the NFL to regular life, it makes me want to give back. God has put me through things that, hasn't been really always easy, from losing a wife to being depressed, things that you go through, that a lot of times, man, it's tough. But, the great thing is, like, you can really teach from your experiences. And so that's how I look at myself, as a person that's a servant leader who is trying to educate, empower, and encourage people. Wow. So that's why I see myself. And, last week, I don't know if you know that, but you did give me congratulations. But I did get my, I got my master's, man, and it was awesome. It really was. So
tell me about that. You're very accomplished. You're not teaching somewhere per se right now.
Right.
So why did you get your master's?
Because when I got my bachelor's back at Clemson University back in 2005, I actually played NFL football, and I went back to get my bachelor's degree.
Oh, wow.
And people were just like, "Why are you getting? You made your money. Why?" Right. I was like, what? It's a sense of accomplishment. And then I wanted to really kind of coach football, and you really couldn't coach without a degree. So I went back, and plus I promised my parents that I would go back. And so I went back, and when I was getting my bachelor's, man, I saw people getting their master's degree, and I was like, I want that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so in a lot of ways, it was just the competitor in me that wanted to do something on a higher level. And, you want to test yourself, but it was challenging because I wasn't quite sure if I could do it or not.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. I didn't know. But, I was like, well, what do you want to do, Levon? And I kind of, I love speaking. I love being in the media. And I love coaching. So they had this program, and I was like, you know what? I think I can do this. And I got into it, man, and it was going well. The only thing is, it's a lot of writing involved.
Yeah.
It's a lot of writing involved, but it was a lot of fun, and it's something that I'm really happy I did. And honestly, I think you always want to encourage your kids. And now I'm letting my kids know, like, hey, your dad is on this level.
That's right. Game on.
What's up? Call me old man if you want to, but can you reach this level that I'm on? So,
right. That's fantastic. So what made you different in the NFL? I mean, I'm reading here, we're talking about sacks as an acquired taste and tackles, 969 tackles. You have 38 and a half sacks, 10 interceptions. So you're a beast. You're 6'1", 270. I mean, fast. I know I played paintball with you.
Yes,
and I'm
right.
like, that's fast.
Yeah. This guy's moving.
He's still got it. Yeah. So I mean, what made you different? What gave you the drive?
I think that I was an outlier in a lot of ways because of my size and playing the position. Most linebackers are between that 220, 240. I was more so 270, 280. So that made me a little different. But if you look back on that time period, the game was more inside. The game was played more in the middle of the field. So you had to be kind of big to play linebacker, I thought. And, honestly, I don't know if I was that much different. I just loved the game a lot, and I really wanted to be the very best that I can possibly be. I was fortunate, too, to get drafted to the Pittsburgh Steelers, where they had a tradition of not only winning, but linebackers that have played very well, that set the bar very high. And we had, with me, my teammates were Chad Brown, Greg Lloyd, Kevin Green, God rest his soul. And those guys were the best at what they did. And I just wanted to be equal to those guys. And I think a lot of times, it's surroundings. A lot of times it's your environment. And my environment was really good from high school to Clemson to the NFL, where I was surrounded by a lot of greatness, and I wanted to be a part of that.
So how do you set goals now? I mean, you obviously had goals. You're saying, I'm going to work out, have a routine. I'm going to eat a certain way. I'm going to get a certain time, and you've made a transition from being the top of your game in professional sports and then to be in business. So first of all, how do you make that transition? And then we'll come back to how do you set goals?
I didn't really know how to make that transition when I left from the NFL to regular life. Fortunately for me, I had a great wife at the time, Keisha. You know Keisha.
Of course, yeah.
And she was like the one who encouraged me to go back to college. She's like, hey, why don't you go back to school, finish up? And I was like, okay. So I went back to college. So really that first couple of years, she helped me to transition. And after I finished graduating, I just went to Clemson and said, hey, I would like to give back. And they gave me an opportunity to give back. But I didn't want to coach football right away. I wanted to do something different. I know I look like a football all day long, but I wanted to do something different. And so did something different, went back to football because I really loved it. It was my passion. I wanted to give back. Went all the way, as far as coaching, all the way to the NFL. Coached with the Arizona Cardinals for 2 years. And then I realized that, I wanted to coach, but I wanted to coach my own way. And that was one way that I gave back, went back to get my master's because I wanted to be equipped to go back and to be an entrepreneur, to do it the way I wanted to do it. So it took a lot of lessons, man. It really did. But it took a certain mindset. So I started getting into reading I started looking at a lot of TED Talks, a lot of reading, and I realized that, man, I did a lot of writing. So what I started doing, this is going to seem kind of wacky, but I started doing what they call I started doing a future journal. So what I would do is I would write out my future days, like exactly how I want that day to go, like my future days, like even from the wake up all the way to going to bed that night. And then I started thinking like, okay, what are some of the things that you want to manifest? What are some of the things that you want to accomplish? And I just started putting them down as, like I am this or I am that. And I started writing more so in the future. A lot of times people write journals and they reflect backwards. And that's good for people, but I have a memory of what happened.
Right.
And I don't need to write it down.
Right.
And I know it's therapy for a lot of folks, but for me, I thought it would be better if I started writing exactly what I want my future to be like. It's like, think about it this way. It's like, a movie. And I'm the director of my movie. I'm the main character of my movie. Why not put down what I want to be? Why not put down the actions I really want to take and want to be in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years? Because I think if you don't really take control of your own movie, your own life, your own actions, then somebody's going to cast you in their movie, and you never know, man. You may die in the first scene. If you let somebody else cast your own movie.
It's somebody else's movie. I love that.
You might be that Star Trek guy that's not.
You know the one.
You know the one that is with Captain Kirk and Spock, but he's not coming back.
He's not coming back, yeah.
So I feel that's how you want your life to be. You want to be able to dictate your life and really get a mindset that I think what happens too is, when we're kids and we go through being a teenager, people start trying to dictate to us exactly how they want us to be. And I understand that because as a parent, you want to make sure you give your kids discipline. There's nothing wrong with that. But a lot of times we get some limited beliefs on ourselves and it stays with us for forever. And a lot of times you have to get to a point where you can go in your subconscious and change those beliefs and turn them upside down. And that's why, I started really thinking about, hey, you know what? I'm gonna really start making my own life. Why can't I create the life that I really actually wanted, I want to be in the future? And I just started doing that.
That's fantastic.
It's the imaginative kid
Right.
back in the yard in Lamar, South Carolina, that used to run around pretending that he was playing football.
Right.
And I really feel that the universe, God, was just like, okay, if that's what you want, and you're working toward it, we'll get it to you.
Wow.
And I really believe God wants us to be creators.
Right. Well,
I don't think he wants us to be like, just, oh, God, please, 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 please. I really feel like he's like, I'm a creator. I built you to be a creator. Why don't you create your own life? If you do that and you write it out and you have a plan and it's clarity, well, I'm going to make sure you get it. I really feel that's the way God works. Yes.
that's great.
Yeah.
If someone's listening to this today and they have limiting thoughts,
Right.
they were told you'll never amount to anything. They've believed lies about themselves, and they don't have a future journal, right? What would you say to them, to get a hold of their emotions and to give themselves, what would you say?
Well, I would tell them that everything that they probably remember is probably not the truth. Some of the belief systems that they have is probably not true. Somebody says like you're ugly or you can't do this. I mean, it's just their opinion. So it's not the truth. So what you need to do is examine those things. Right out. I would say write out the things that that other people have put on you or the beliefs that you have on them. Then I want you to look at them fairly and objectively, and really say like, okay, is this really true? And it's not true, man. Throw it out. Put it in a box. The stuff that are lies, put them in a box and throw them in the Atlantic Ocean. Yeah. And honestly, you can always start over. I mean, I'm middle aged, and I just walked across the stage. But guess what? I saw a lot of.
What's that?
A lot of middle aged, older folks going back to get it. So what it says is that it's never too late for you to start again or to live the life you want to live. So I would just go back and say, like,
Never too late.
Never too late. Don't believe everything you heard. Understand the difference between your truth and lies, and go forward and start dictating what kind of life you want to live.
Sure.
Yeah, I really, and that's the writing part of it too. I think a lot of times, Erik, you have to get it out of your head, put it on paper so you can really see it. And now let's get some clarity. Where do you want to go? See, right. I'm not a therapist or anything like that. Right. I don't know. Like,
right.
The only thing I know is I can show you how to get to your goal because I've done that. I perform on a very high level, on all three levels, whatever. So I can show you how to do that.
Right.
I can be your coach in doing that. But we got to say, like, hey, man, where you want to go?
Right.
I understand you have a past, but where do you want to go?
Right.
I think to me, that's the main thing.
Right.
Yeah, and talking plain and simple to people. I mean, I can give them all kind of jargon and blah 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 and blah blah blah.
Right.
But man, people just want to hear plain and simple.
Right.
Hey man, you want to be this? Let's be this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. How did becoming a parent change your life?
Oh my gosh. I think you actually realize how selfish you are as far as you really kind of just in love with yourself.
Right.
Before you become a parent, you're kind of into you.
Right.
It's all about you.
Right.
I don't care what nobody says. It's all about you.
Right.
But when you become a parent, then you realize there's an unconditional love there that is amazing. And it's going to test you and it's going to push you. But man, you would do anything for that kid.
No,
right?
that's true.
You would do anything for that kid. It doesn't matter. And having a daughter, I have a son as well, but I tease my son. I say, I would die for you, but I would kill for her. But no, it changed your life
love
because
it.
you realize that
I remember that.
you have a legacy, you have a responsibility to continue to pour in their lives, and
Right.
you're their first teacher,
Right.
and that's a big responsibility.
yeah.
I think sometimes we don't realize how big the responsibility is when you have a kid. What you pour into them, is like, you see, the saddest thing I ever see is when someone gets really elderly and they really can't take care of themselves, but their children don't come back to help them out.
Right.
I think that's the biggest testimony of what kind of parent you were. If you were a great parent and you showed them love and you care for them, I really feel like they're going to come back and they're going to take care of you.
Right.
But if you didn't, most likely they're going to be reluctant to take care of you, and they may just toss you in a home somewhere.
Right.
But I was good. I always say it to my nieces, okay, just for backup, make sure I was good to those guys.
Yeah, that's
So
right. You gotta have a plan B, right?
got to have a plan B as well. So, no, I just think it helps you to keep things in perspective and understand that it's more than just about yourself, but it's about a bigger picture, and it's about the future. You're really putting a future person in the world, and that person hopefully is a great person, a great leader, and it's going to carry on your legacy.
That is so true. As we talk, you've mentioned empower, educate, equip. And that's what you're seeking to do now to give back. If you were to sit down with a young person who's excited, or somebody who's had a big setback, maybe they're midlife and they've had a setback, they're facing depression, things of that nature, are there like 2 or 3 simple things that they should think about?
Well, I think depression actually is something that's telling you we're not going in the right path. Something's wrong. Okay. I think people look at oh my God, you're depressed. But I think really, and this is not scientific by any means, but I really feel that it's letting you know that we're not in the right place. Mm-hmm. And because we're not in the right place, we're maybe in our heads, we may be telling, untruths about ourselves. We need to get another perspective. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times that perspective could be professional, it could be a friend, it could be your minister, but we need perspective, and we don't have perspective right now. We're seeing things too close to the chest, and we're not really seeing it clearly. So we need some clarity. We need to see it from another perspective. I think also, too, you have to realize that you are loved, and people really do care about you. And man, when other people are caring about you, I think that really helps too. When you're thinking just about yourself, a lot of times we close in and we shun out the world. But there are a lot of people that actually love us, and a lot of people that care for us, and we need to keep that in mind. And we also need to understand that a lot of people have gone through what you've gone through. Mm-hmm. You're not the only one.
Right.
And a lot of times that's where I say your life experiences helps out a lot. Mm-hmm. That's where you can get help from other people who've gone through what you've gone through. Mm-hmm. Like, I probably have a better perspective of what happens when you lose a spouse very young. Yeah. Than someone who's never had that.
Right.
Or you have more experience about money, about what you do with wealth, than maybe what I have. I mean, so a lot of times we have people out there who can help us out. We just got to reach out for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what's next for you? What's next for Levon Kirkland?
What is next for Levon Kirkland? Well, like I said before, I want to be a servant leader. I want to make sure that I'm educating, empower, and encouraging people to their best goal, to their highest level. So I can see myself having, I really see myself having my own business called Complete Me with Levon Kirkland. And that's basically a coaching service. I can see myself doing a lot of speaking. Matter of fact, I have a children's book coming out pretty soon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So being an author, doing the podcast thing that I've been doing. So just really serving my purpose, but also diving into my passions.
Great.
And I want to be there, especially for student athletes. You know, I want to be a guide for them, but also a guide for anybody who's an individual or any organization too,
Right.
to guide them in the right path. And I really feel that my background as a football player, a football coach, gives me an opportunity to do that.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, I've as always enjoyed talking to you. If somebody's watching this and say, "Hey, I'd like to learn more about Levon Kirkland. I'd like to learn about your upcoming book, follow you on social media."
Yeah.
How should they do that?
No, you just follow me on social media. I'm on social media as Levon Kirkland.
Okay.
I also have an Inside Blitz with Levon Kirkland, and that's on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram. I think Twitter is Levon_Kirkland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks for coming on today.
Man,
It's always
thank
a
you so
pleasure.
much for having me. And that is a really nice jacket.
Thank you.
But if you have shoulders like mine,
That's right.
you can't just find this jacket.
It's not going to work, right?
It's not going to work. Yeah. It's going to look like space, you know?
Star, yeah. Start back and stuff.
You can be like, ah.
Back to Star Trek. That's fantastic. Yes. And I remember those episodes where my brother and I would watch it when we were kids.
Yeah, that one
Somebody's
guy,
not coming back.
Somebody is not coming back.
Kirk and Spock are coming back.
Kirk and Spock and McCoy is coming back.
Everybody else, man.
Everybody else, sorry.
Not looking good.
Your odds are not good. No,
I remember that. I remember that so well. Thanks again, my friend.
Man, thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure with you.